Welcome to Democracy 2.0 with Wayne Bouchard. And you're hearing this on malcolmpresents.com, streaming portal into the new world of Zoomcasting with myself, Malcolm Berman, and of course, Wayne Bouchard. Hey, Wayne, what's happening?
Well, not much. Today's been a kind of calm day, quiet day. We got a lot of topics, potential topics to discuss.
Well, and anything important happening aside from the midterm elections, which might determine the next 2 years of America's policies?
Also might determine, the future of democracy. If you
Right.
want to listen to President Biden's speech last night.
I think it's too ethereal. What does the end of democracy mean? I know what it means is when I go to the supermarket and a dozen eggs cost $5, or a pound of butter cost $3.
What really is pissing me off is that eggs is one of the things that has really been in the forefront of the news about, inflation and the economy. I just have been chuckling, because I got chickens and, they lay eggs.
Well, that's for the old days. You had your cows and
Yeah.
you had your wheat fields and.
Well, the chickens are on strike, man. They haven't laid an egg in 2 days. I think one of the Republicans has bought these chickens off, and
you should speak to one of my other shows, Deborah, who's actually she's to the right of us, but she's growing chickens in South Carolina.
Okay.
And she has eggs that she's actually I think she's giving it to her neighbors.
I give them away all the time. As a matter of fact, that we have a recording studio,
right?
And we have a stamp that we put on the egg carton. It says, "Just got laid at GDP Studios."
That's cute.
Yeah, it's a pretty clever marketing.
I wonder how they got the word "laid" out of that. I wonder, it must be because chicken lay eggs.
Chickens lay the eggs. Yeah, they go into a little nesting box and lay down, and it's quite a process.
Now, the important thing, how many eggs do chickens give a week or a day?
I think they lay, 4 or 5 eggs a week.
4 or 5 eggs a week?
Yeah, they take 1 or 2 days off.
And does it have to be fertilized by, the good old rooster?
No, not to eat the egg.
Oh, to eat, right? But to
create
chickies.
To create new chickens, yes.
So do you have a rooster that?
No, we don't have a rooster because we don't want our neighbors to, although, I can hear roosters in the morning, but
your poor hens, they don't have a rooster to over them.
The rooster's kind of brutal. We don't want to get into that. So,
okay. Well, let's get into politics, which is much more simpler.
So, there was a new poll out the other day, and I think it was the CNN poll that said 51% of the people that are voting, their number one concern is the economy. So, once again, it's the economy, stupid.
Yeah, well, it's
my question is why is the GOP, why are the Republicans? And I always wondered what does GOP stand for?
Grand Old Party.
Ah, right. Okay. That's right. Why are they winning the messaging argument?
I don't know. I think number one, the party in power that has the presidency, midterm always goes down. Because
they say that, but
most of the time it's not 100%, but I think a good 90%, 80, 90%. Well, parts of it because people don't know who to blame, and they have to blame somebody. Somebody has to be at fault.
Well, I think the Democrats failed to capitalize on, all the spending that they got through the Congress for the pandemic, and then this infrastructure spending and some other very important pieces of legislation, and they thought they would just harp on the abortion issue.
Yeah, Roe v. Wade. But yeah, I'm disappointed in them because they haven't really, pressed or exposed really how much, Biden has done and how much he is helpless, at things. The inflation of food and everything, or gas is not necessarily, blamed on him. It's worldwide situation. The whole world is suffering.
Well, the interesting thing is that our European partners, their leaders are far, down in the polls, far worse than Joe Biden is. The French, the British, the Germans, the Italians, the Spaniards, and the Swedes. They're all down in the 20 percentile range. Some of them are down as low as, I can't remember which one. I think it might have been the Italian prime minister, was down to like 5%.
Well, they're telling that they just elected a new prime minister, this woman who's very right wing.
Yes. Which, boy, you're a good straight man. Which leads me to into one of the other things I wanted to talk about is this whole issue of democracy and our democratic values and our reliance on voter participation is just being eroded. We have over 300 Republican candidates that are election deniers, and what happens to people's trust in democracy when those people say the election is rigged.
Right.
Now, what happens if let's just say for the sake of argument, one of these, let's say the woman who's running in Arizona, I think her name is Carrie Lake, she loses by some strange quirk of fate. She loses the election and she says the election's rigged. I'm not going to accept this election. People begin, then again, we lose this confidence. And I think for our form of government to continue to succeed, we have to have confidence in our electoral cycle. And that's just being wasted away.
Yeah, well, who that's due to?
Due to Donald Trump. But, why is there a worldwide trend towards autocratic governments? You mentioned the Italians just elected a far right prime minister. The woman in France, Marine Le Pen, she got a lot of votes, 45% of the vote.
And Israel probably will have Bibi
Netanyahu is made a deal with a bunch of right-wing parties. Sweden has a significant hard right group of neo-Nazis that are involved in their government. They got the second highest vote total. And then you had what's his name down in Brazil.
Yeah, but well, he lost.
Lucerno, but
Lula won, but
he won 49% of the vote. That's that's a lot of the vote. Certainly not. That's not saying that the country rejected what he was talking about. It's
go ahead. Well, look what happened in our vote. With Biden and Trump. I mean, he got what, like 48% of the vote.
Yeah, but Biden, by the popular vote, beat him by 7 or 8 million votes.
Yeah,
That's a lot of votes.
but out of 150, how many millions voted?
It was about 160, 170 million.
Yeah. I mean that's not that much of a to lose by. I mean it's a he lost, but too many people think the opposite of what I do or what we do, and I don't
Well,
understand it.
I don't think, I think, the one thing that people feel, they don't have any confidence in the government. They're disoriented. Um, people think that things have gone really wrong, and they're not the way they used to be. Uh,
I'm not the way I used to be. I can't wake up in the morning and go 5, 6 miles running. Now I do.
right.
Now I go 2, 3 miles walking. I'm happy.
Yeah, right.
I'm not the way I used to be. I think it's all Biden's fault.
You think so?
Definitely. If Trump was there, he'd probably have like free medical care.
Oh, yeah, I kind of doubt that. I
Yeah.
kind of doubt that.
But didn't he love the Affordable Care Act?
No, he hated it.
I thought he was a staunch supporter of that.
No, 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 no.
Um,
Obamacare, he wanted to repeal Obamacare.
right. I don't see again. I mean, maybe I'm simplistic. I don't see why people vote for them, for the Republicans. I don't see why they don't believe. Like when someone when Lindsey Graham says, "Okay, let's do a national restriction on abortions." I don't know why they don't believe them when we say, "Well, we're going to cut Social Security, trim it down because it's too much." I don't know why people believe that. I don't know why they say we're going to do away with the Affordable Care Act.
Well, I think people are, as I said, they're disoriented. They can't relate to their own country. The easiest thing for these politicians to do is to blame it on immigration. That's what's happened in Europe. That's what's happened here. Um, what do they mean by make America great again?
Kick everybody out.
Kick everybody out. We're,
That
the only people that really matter are
white Anglo-Saxons,
white Anglo-Saxon Protestants.
Protestant, and we used to call it WASPs.
Yeah, and we're going to have an economy that's going to be built on manufacturing and coal. That's what they want. This nostalgia to go back to where we were.
Except that as far as I've read, the people that are digging coal are not people anymore. It's going to be robots. It's all
Robots,
going to be
machines,
mechanized.
but they haven't. Uh, you know, the MAGA Republicans, those hardcore MAGA Republicans, haven't figured that out yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're thinking that they're going to go back into the mines, and they're going to go back. We're going to have steel mills. The whole technology revolution passed them by.
Yeah.
Passed them by.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if we should run that sequence from I forget the name of the show with Aaron Sorkin. Newsroom, was it?
Yeah.
And then Aaron Sorkin wrote with Jeff Daniels.
Yes.
And they always play this clip where Jeff Daniels, who is the nightly newscaster, is in a symposium at college, and one of the kids asked him, "How can we make America great again?" Or something similar to that. and he gives this whole Aaron Sorkin speech, saying, "Well, we're 17th in education, and he gives them that we're not in the top category of any of the the major things that we look to: health, education, death."
Correct.
And he says, "We were never, great, and the way your kids listen, we're not going to be great at all." I'm really butchering paraphrasing it, but you have to listen to it. It's fantastic.
Well, one of the things I think that uh, I read about was that we have this attitude that we have these politicians. They're like the modern day definition of an apostate. They've had some sort of revelation that has transformed their thought process.
That's assuming they were ever thinking in the first place.
Well, look at it all started with let's stay modern. It all started with Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a liberal Democrat. Ronald Reagan was an avid supporter of FDR and the New Deal and all those programs that were passed back in the 40s. And then, he supported all of those programs, Social Security, the WPA programs, and then he changed. And he became a very, very fervent conservative Republican at the time, although today he would be classified as liberal.
Well, was he the one that came up, or during his administration, trickle-down economy?
Yeah, well, it was one of his economists.
Yeah, where if the big businesses earn more, they're going to trickle it down to the workers.
Right. So he had this transformation that he no longer believed in those philosophies, and Donald Trump is almost exactly the same, because Donald Trump was also a liberal Democrat, donated money to the Clintons, donated money to all sorts of causes, was very pro-abortion in his earlier days.
Yeah, because he needed that for personal reasons.
And he completely changed. And you look at these candidates that are on the horizon now. I mentioned one of them before, Carrie Lake, and there's a couple of other people that have been involved in trying to overturn the election. I mean, these people are zealots, and they firmly believe that they're right. I'm not, I was trying to understand how they could be such hypocrites, but I believe that, I've come to the realization now that they believe they're right, and they believe their agenda is almost a it's almost a holy war, that they win these elections and overturn Roe v. Wade and get rid of LGBTQ and same-sex marriage, and the latest thing, as we saw a couple of days ago, is affirmative action in college admissions. They're pretty hell bent on pursuing that agenda. And of course, the guy who's going to benefit from all this is going to be Donald Trump. And if he runs in 2024 and he wins, I believe we will have an authoritarian government. And
6 years ago, I would say, nah, that he's never going to run. He's never going to win. I don't say that anymore.
No, there's a very good possibility he'll probably run just to stay out of trouble because of all these indictments.
Well, he wants to be elected because he doesn't want to go to jail.
Right, right.
But well, he has the courts thinking his way because he appointed all of them.
But the
Should,
courts haven't not necessarily ruled in his
no,
favor, even though he's had, when you get appointed to a court, you don't have to stand for reelection. So these
yeah.
justices on the Supreme Court are not going to have to stand for reelection. Although I think some of them are conservative to the degree that they would support a lot of those causes. But I have a feeling that Chief Justice Roberts would not go over to the conservative side when it came time to decide between, a decision of democracy versus autocracy, for example.
Well, I'm not at this point. I'm not sure what democracy means. In fact, I don't think people know what a democracy is. Where they think of a democracy is the rule of the majority, and it's really not. But a lot of part of our democracy is protecting the minority. I mean
Well,
that's where the courts,
our democracy is really a republic, not a democracy.
Right, a representative republic.
Correct.
So, the last democracy, I think, was what, Rome.
Is that a true democracy?
Yeah, and it really wasn't a true democracy because only the Romans could
vote.
It wasn't the slaves or the people that lived there.
Right.
They had no rights. So it's a democracy of the aristocracy. How is that one?
Yeah, that even rhymed.
Right. Maybe we should start that in this country. But well, sometimes I have a feeling that not everybody should be able to vote, and it's not based on income or race or anything. It's based on, do you know who's running and do you know what they're running on? You go to people and you talk. They have these things on Facebook where this actually it's a kid also goes ask questions, and I don't know whether that's real or not, but some people are so dumb, and
yeah, that's still a form of discrimination. You're discriminating against someone who has the ability to vote because they were able to register to vote, and
right.
they had the intellectual capacity to go through that process. But now you're questioning their intellectual capacity to choose the correct leaders.
Well, not even the correct leaders, that because that's also a matter of opinion, but why they vote for certain leaders, why they vote for certain people. And a lot of them is based on a 30-second soundbite. And that's why the politicians who are running for major office are spending so much money on television ads and radio ads. And as probably you also, I get inundated every day with about at least 5 to 10 advertising pieces, these slick, cardboard advertising, and that's expensive. I think it was you who told me it's when you ran for Congress, the most important thing in running for Congress is having a war chest for your campaign.
Well, you had to have a certain amount of money to be able to afford it, but back then it was nickels and dimes compared to
Yeah, but it wasn't
today.
nickels and dimes. It wasn't nickels and dimes in comparison to the wages back then and how much you could spend. I mean now, for a simple job, how much Rick Caruso is spending to become mayor of Los Angeles?
Millions.
I think he's over right now $100 million. And I think they predict it'll be about 120, $130 million by next week.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money.
Win?
By the way, most of it is his.
Is he going to win?
It's going to be a tight race between him and Oh, who is it again? Not Nancy Abrams, not Abrams. Karen Bass, who's been a
Mhm.
long time congressperson.
Okay.
But with the money he's spending, it's going to be very, very close. And it's amazing. Like we talked about that before. I think the TV stations should be donating their times as public service for
Well,
commercials.
you're talking about public financing of elections.
Not even public financing. The airways,
That's the most expensive part of the election.
yeah. Who owns the airways? We do it to the people. We give a license to the various broadcast companies, but they have to reapply for their license every few years.
So
Part of
they should
their,
have equal access.
yeah, people have equal. I think they have equal access, but they don't need equal time. There should be equal time, and the time should be given. There should be a certain time given to each politician based on either the primary or a previous election or how popular they are.
Yeah, the election cycle should be like 30 days and they should all get the same amount of commercials
Right.
and, let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. Well, beginning next January, whoever got elected to the House will be campaigning, will be collecting money. And who
Yes,
did they collect money from? From all the people that the special interest groups.
correct.
And will they have any influence on how they legislate? Of course not.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
Do you think they don't vote according to
To-
the people who do give them the largest contributions?
Who got them in the office? No, they don't do that.
No, they couldn't
No.
possibly think of that.
And of course, of all these people in the regulatory agencies, how after they quit the regulatory agency, somehow they got these big cushy jobs for
Yep.
the industry that they're supposed to regulate. It's almost like if the Defense Department, look at the big munitions companies. Who do they have working for them? Former generals.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's a screwed up system. I'd say another word, but I don't know if I can on YouTube. I think I can. I have to check that out.
I don't
I,
think you can.
well, I think if the show, when I post the show, I have to say whether it's recommended for adults. I don't know, or children. Uh, I think there might be certainly way because I watch TV now, and that's another thing. I don't know, like when you go out with Megan, you find that people that you go out with use curse much more now, or use
Absolutely.
use the F word.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, there's somewhere in the vicinity of 985,000 words in the English language. Why are you obsessed with using that one word? That's all they want to use. Every other word comes
Well,
out of their
well,
mouth.
well, I think when it's
I
older
said,
folk like
why did
us,
you go to college? Why did you go to school to grow your vocabulary?
who
So
the
you
F
can throw
knows?
the F bomb around? Does that make you cool?
But, but, but,
What
but
what
I
is it with
remember where it wasn't cool to when I was like in my 40s, 30s, and 40s. That wasn't cool to use. It was only a subgenre of people that used it, and basically it was it's either the uneducated or only a few within your peer group. Like if I was with the guys, I could use any slang that I wanted. But if I was with my date or my girlfriend or mixed company as older, you'd never hear that word.
That's true. Times have changed.
I remember reading this book years ago, The Naked. I don't know if you read the Naked and the Dead, Norman Mailer. It's a book about World War II and the horrors of
Probably.
war. But I
Uh-huh.
remember I was impressed. I guess I was 17, 18. And when they used the F word, the word was frig, Frig. Frig
Mhm.
you. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're
Are we
almost
out
out
of
of time.
time?
We're out of. Can you imagine that?
We're out of time.
We're out of time, and tomorrow and next week at this time, we should know some results.
We should know the results. Maybe we should just have a half hour of mourning.
Yeah, where I play the music, sort of like the da da, the taps, da da da, yeah. Actually, I find taps so morning, so there's
That
something
wasn't even
so
close.
tragic. Well, I know. I don't have a. You should hear me singing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think you told me you voted already, absentee.
No, I didn't. Megan did.
Oh, I just did it today.
I want to go to the polls to see if I get harassed.
You get harassed?
Sir, yeah, to see if I get harassed by anybody when I go to the polls.
No, you're too old and you're too white. In the
Okay.
send my love, and I'll speak to you after the election if we still can talk.
Okay. All right,
Have-
Malcolm.
Have a good week.
Take care. You too.
Bye.
Bye.